to my channel, and today we're going to be looking at the PoohBear Goodie Bag Bundle, and we're going to be using these devices to create the track what you can hear. All my modules are being used to generate all the CV, note and gate data, and obviously I'm actually going to be using Voltage Modular's devices, so we'll have a quick look at them first and then we'll jump into all of this. I'm just going to very quickly go through my setup because I'm running Voltage Modular inside Reason, and when I start wiring stuff up I don't want you thinking, oh, I'm doing some kind of voodoo magic, because I'm going to be using the audio out to control things. Just like this is a simple little bass patch. You can see I'm actually getting the audio in. It's going through one of my modules, which is Reason to VM, converting the pitch, and obviously that's going into the pitch data, and I'm getting the gate data as well via the audio source. So you're not going to see me coming through the standard way. I'm going to be using a lot of audio in and out, because I'm using this inside Reason. So very simply, here we go, that's a bass. I'm using a DC 106 again. That's going to be a little bit of a bass. Yeah, we've got ourselves a few little drum things going on. That's another little sound effect thing going on again with some of my modules, doing a little bit of randomization. I'm going to be using the PS20 as well for just a little bit of a background sound. And here is the actual Reason project itself. We're diving into, well, there's nothing actually running in that side, that module, and that's what we're going to build up. But as you can see, I've got it all wired up. All my audios are coming out. I'm running through like an audio to CV, so I can convert it. You could use Thor at this stage. I'm using lots of spiders and splitters to split things off. And the stacks I'm using, like player stacks, are very minor stacks, and I might be just doing the odd transpose here and there. And that's basically it. This is how I'm sort of wiring things up. I am using some gates and CV in some cases, but a lot of the other cases I'm using the audio ins to actually get things to work. And as I say, that's the main one which we're going to be starting on, and I think that's the main one we need to actually go and work on straight away. So let's get creative with the PoohBear Goodie Bag Bundle. I think first thing we're going to need is obviously some instruments up, so let's quickly go and grab a patch. I'm actually in the Nucleus presets, so you could follow along, and let's pick this one here, Vintage Clark. Good old Vincent Clark. Yep, so I've got some sound work in there. So the first thing I'm going to do is just grab myself an empty cabinet to work in, and hey, here we go. Look, First Contact. First Contact, yep, it was inspired by Close Encounters of the Third Kind, and it is the visualization they had towards the end of the film. So I'm just going to quickly wire up the pitch and the gate from my keyboard. In fact, I could probably bring my keyboard down so you can see what I'm actually playing. There is actually a slight delay from what I'm playing to what you can hear, because I'm using DX drivers purely for videoing. I'm just going to play this on my other keyboard. That way my arms aren't in the way and you can see what's being played. And I think what we're going to do today is we're going to get creative, actually using that particular tune and see what we can do. The first thing I'm going to grab is a store and forward, so let's bung that in there. And let's move that out of the way quickly. I'm going to hold down my shift key, and I'm going to grab all this gate data and put that to the gate out. I'm going to hold this pitch down and grab that down. So that's all going to be played via the storing forward, and then the storing forward, we're going to need some pitch data into it, and we're going to need some gate data into it. So storing forward will actually store any kind of CV data and spit it back out again, and it works obviously very well for pitch and note data. So we now need to start putting some stuff into this, and when we start putting stuff into it, it starts spitting it out at the pulse rate. Actually, I might just turn this down a little bit. And I'm going to play the Close Encounter sort of tune, but I'm going to just double the notes up. Now I've used up 12 steps. I want to take that to 16, so I'm just going to add 4 more notes. And speed it up. And we can quieten it by just turning the out off. So, hey, that's going to be our start. So, yeah, I'm just going to move this First Contact right out the way, purely because, yeah, it's taken up a bit of screen real estate while we're just doing this first bit. So very, very quickly, that's going to get boring quite quickly. So let's actually build on this and make this sound a little bit more exciting. So I'm going to need my transer, and this is going to actually, it does a transpose and an offset of pitch data which we put into it. I'm going to use another store and forward. So I'm just going to grab that CV over there and plug that into that one instead. So we're going to record directly into that one. And for the moment, let's actually pull this all the way over so you can actually hear what's being recorded as well. And the other big difference is I'm going to actually slow this one right down probably, but I'll just leave it on that speed for the moment. And so let's actually get some notes into this one here. Let's go for something like I'm going to double my steps up again, only so because at the end I can do a split. As you can hear, again, it doesn't sound too exciting at the moment, so I'm just going to move these back over to where they should be, which is over this side here, as you do. I'm now going to take this CV data here and I'm going to put it into my transposer, and I'm going to take this and I'm going to wire it up to the pitch in of these two devices. I'm also going to grab myself a trig gate because we need to keep all these devices into sync. So it comes in rather handy when we sort of go for reset. There we go, so let's put them in there. And let's have a listen and see what we've got going on so far. And as you can hear, we've got ourselves something quite interesting going on. In fact, I'm going to leave them two. Then I'm just going to push these two over this side. I'm going to leave that trig gate there. What I'm going to put in now is some gators, so we're going to spice it up even more. I'm just going to set these to channels because these have to be on their own individual channels. And let's just make a quick copy of a few of these. There we go. Next, we want link on with these. And what the link on does, it just ties these two ports together, and I'm going to use this gate out to drive through this, and it's also going to drive the step sequences. So at the moment, if we was to take and let me think about this, where I'm going with this. I want this gate data to go out to the gates, so I need to just drop the gates off there, and I'm just going to hold down my control key, and it allows me to select multiple ports. And yeah, and we need to obviously get that all reset. So to start with, it shouldn't really sound any different whatsoever. But obviously what we can do they already started to sound different, but what we're going to do is with these gators, we're going to link them all up. So it's going to be the out to the out to the out to the in, the out to the in, and loop it all the way back around. We're going to have this one as the master one. And basically now we just need to obviously go through this and make ourselves up some sort of different patterns. You know, you can just do whatever you want. There is a functionality that if you sort of double click, we can obviously randomize things. So yeah, we go for something a bit more randomized. The fact that this is 16, so we've got 16 and 16, so these are 8 steps a piece. I'm actually going to drop the last one down to 7. So effectively what that means is after it's actually played through a loop, the last note is actually going to play here, so it's going to force the pattern on 1. So every time it goes round, it's going to force it down a step, which is going to give you a subtly different feel. Now theoretically, let's have a listen to that, see what we've got. Excellent. Now, I liked what we had originally, and I also like what we got there. So wouldn't it be great if we could switch between the two? And of course, that is something that we can actually do quite easily. And all we're going to need for that is a switcher, which will actually switch between the two. In fact, I don't want the switcher, I want the counter. The first thing I'm actually going to do with this is actually wire it up, so I can obviously keep these all in sync because we've got so many things going on. And what we've got to do now is I'm going to obviously get this to count up and change between this A and this B, or this X or this Y ports, depending on what I really wish to do. Because I've got a 16 here and I've got an 8 over here, 8 times 16 comes to 128, so I'm going to set this to a threshold of 128. So it's going to play all the way through once in one mode, and then it's going to play all the way through in another mode. So to make it do that, I need to put it onto a square, and I'm going to put it on after. So I'm going to wire this up one way, and then I'm going to demonstrate doing virtually the same thing, obviously with some different sounds, wiring it up a different way. And just so you can see, you can do things the same way, or you seem to get the same result, but then it's understanding why it's working. It's working, so you can apply which logic you need for when you're doing your particular project. So what I'm actually going to do is, that's my gate out at the moment, so I'm going to hold my shift key down and grab that across and put that into X. So X is going to be out. I'm going to take this gate and put it into B. So B at the moment in flip mode is going to Y, well there's nothing plugged into Y. So I could actually just turn it off if I wish, so there we go. And when it goes into the flop mode, it's going to go to X, so that's that one. And same, so what we're going to do with this A here, I'm going to take a feed directly from that store and forward. So that's now going to go through into X. Then when we go into the flop mode, it's then going to get its feed from the global over here. And it's going to obviously do a complete set. Made a bit of a mistake, I forgot to plug in the trigger, so we need some trigger data in here, so I'm going to use this as my trigger data as well. So I think you get the idea of actually what is going on there. So effectively what we've done with this flip-flop counter is made it a 2-in to a 1-out. As I said, we can configure things the same way or different ways to achieve the same thing. So I'm just going to add an empty cabinet here so I can start throwing some stuff down there just to make myself a little bit of room up the top here. So what we're going to do now is we're going to do something very, very similar, but we're going to switch it around by having a 1-in to a 2-out, and so you can sort of get the understanding of what's going on. So the first thing I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to grab myself a few different gators, and I'm going to want to put these into a linked mode, and I'm just going to make a copy. And so let's keep this nice and straightforward to start with. We need different channels, so I'm going to put that on 1, that being on 2, that can be on 3, say for instance. I need to drive these, so there we go. So we're going to have some gate data. I'm going to same with this one. We're going to need some gate data. We're going to need some gate data for this one. Again, I'm going to need some trigger, so let's hold down my control key so I can just quickly go reset, reset, reset. And what I'm actually going to do with these is I'm actually going to take the outputs and I'm going to wire them off to my my drums. So that output trigger should be going off to trigger my drums. So if I was to, let's see what we've got if I hit this now. quite straightforward what we've done there. So what I'm actually going to do now, as I said, I'm going to do the opposite what we was doing with this flip-flop counter, whereas the flip-flop counter at the moment was taking 2 in to a 1 out. I'm going to go for a 1 in to a 2 out. So let's grab myself another flip-flop counter. Let's put it over here, and I'm going to do something slightly different. I'm actually going to set this to a threshold of 8 because I'm going to trigger this from this storing forward over here. So I could have triggered this one as well from this storing forward if I wanted to and just change the numbers around. So because this one's going up to 8, that's what I want, is a threshold of 8. I'm actually going to go for a flip-flop counter on this particular one, and I'm going to do it on the beat. So when it's on 8, it's actually going to flop and then it's going to flip back. That's what we're going to be looking at for that one there. So let me just move this across, and as usual, we've got to remember to wire up so we can sync it all in together. And what I'm going to do is, yes, I am triggering it from this one, so this is doing the actual counter, but the signal I'm going to pass through here is I'm going to pass this gate signal through. So this gate signal is now coming into A, and it's obviously going out to X, and when it flops, that A is now going to go out to Y. There's nothing plugged into B, so once again, we could just turn these off. Doesn't matter if these are left on or not. There's nothing in there, so nothing's going to be processed. So A is going to X, flip, flop, Y. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to remove, yeah, let's do this one, let's do this one, and let's do this one as well. Let's do both of these. So I'm going to hold down my control key here, and I'm going to feed in an input to this one and an input to this one. So we're going to get ourselves some gate information, which means it's going to drive these, which then it's obviously going to play these when it's in a flip mode. So now what we've got need to do is set something up for the flop mode. We've got a flip mode, let's go for a flop mode. And so not to confuse myself, I think I'm going to do it this way. Because this is the kick, so I'm just going to just make a copy of this as you do. And what I need to do with this, I'm going to put this in, is going to come out of the Y. So only when it goes into flop mode is it going to play this. And then obviously as this is the kick, we need to obviously set something up for the kick, which is going to sound a bit different. I don't know what. We'll make it up as we go along. And what I'm actually going to do is I'm actually going to put this, yeah, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to double this up. I'm going to double this up, and I'm going to then have something. So I'm just thinking aloud in my head. So let me just quickly link these all up together. Let's put in, so we can sync it all up. So you've got to remember to sync it up. And then we need to take the global out, and that's got to go into the kick. And yeah, so that'd be that one there. Sorry, just looking at all my wiring. So let's just quickly test that and see what's going to happen. In fact, it might, oh, test it. Yeah, it sounded a little bit out because I don't think I should have synced it before we started playing. And let's do the same for the snare. So I'm going to do something with that snare. So let's just double this up a little bit. Let's give this something. Let's put this on number 5 so I don't lose out what I'm doing. So again, we're going to need to make sure we sync that. We're going to get the trigger data from Y this time, and now all we need to do is come up with some sort of snare kind of feel, which I think is going to be something. Let's have a roll towards the end and something there maybe. So hopefully that might sound okay, and obviously we need to make sure we put that out to the snare. And can we get this going? Excellent. We got ourselves something going there. So what I'm going to do actually is I'm going to grab, let's see what I'm going to grab. I'm probably going to grab all of this and get rid of this. But I was going to grab all this and just put this down there for the moment. So again, we've got ourselves a little bit of spare space. And let's build ourselves, we can use this data here, bring that onto the screen. We could use this data here to build a base, he says. So if I should have myself a base set up around about there, I believe. Let's have her here. We've got something going on there. Right, what we've got to do, obviously, I know exactly what's going wrong, is obviously, we're obviously coming from Voltage Modular going into Reason. So what I'm going to need is a VM to Reason module. Here we go, bosh. And so we're going to put our pitch through here, and then the audio out is going to go to the audio out, and let's see what that sounds like. Hey, sounding more bassy. Now, not exactly an exciting bass, so we need to spice that up. And yes, you've guessed it, we're going to spice that up with something like a gator. Let's choose a channel. I don't know, channel 9 will do me for the moment. And I'm going to have 4 of these. And again, let's link this all up, out to in, out to in, out to in, out to and in, have the master on, reset, bosh, we've got ourselves a reset. Now, I'm going to drive again these from this particular gate. This Story 4 is doing a lot of work. It's going to come all the way through. Being a bass, I'm not going to mess around with taking one off the steps. But as we're going to keep a very, very simple bass pattern, so I'm going to go and we need to replace. Oh no, I'm replacing my gate information. So the pitch information is staying the same. So now I'm going to take my gate information, and that should now give us a bit of a bass. We might just push that and then reset everything. It's sounding just an octave too low, so we just need to correct that. Okay, so bass is sounding a bit better, and in fact, let's just try and solo that and see if we can hear that on its own. And let's actually spice that up a little bit as well, making use of, so I'm going to add one more gator, and what I'm going to do with this particular gator is I'm actually going to use this gator to change the pitch of what is coming out of this storing forward. So we've got ourselves a little bit of a bass pattern, so let's use this one to change the pitch. So I'm going to need to get the gate from there here. Remember to wire up my reset so I can get it all into sync. The out is going to go into the pitch in, and what I need is a 1 volt source to come into here. And so for my 1 volt source, let's just use a DC source. There we go. I'm going to quickly use that and put that to 1 volts. And then I can take that out and put that into my in. So hopefully that's going to go, that's going to play, that's going to play, that's going to go up to there, it's going through there. Should sound all right. So I've got to turn this one on, and I've got to turn this one on because now I'm driving everything. So. So this is my final build. Virtually what we've been doing. I've actually have bought some little bit extra flip-flop counters in. As you can see, these flip-flop counters are actually swapping over at 256. The reason being 256 is I'm going through this loop twice of my do-do-do-do-do, but then I've actually added another segment on, which is only just 8 notes, which is also taking the storing forward information to transpose it. So the same transposes, which is happening to the do-do-do-do, is also happening to the new bit of step data. And that's being flip-flopped around by this flip-flop counter, hence why it's 256. So you're going to hear that, hear it through the gator, it's going to hear this one, and then hear that through the gator. The bass stuff is here. We've got all our drum stuff, which we were doing here. The only other difference is I've actually started to bring some stuff in from the outside world. And the only reason I'm bringing certain stuff in from the outside world is actually I'm coming down and actually feeding this stack here, which is going back to my first contact. So I'm just retrieving some information, what's going on outside in the reason world, and coming back in. Oh, I've also added this little tiny voice, and that's only going to kick in. It's using this flip-flop counter here. Even though this flip-flop counter is turning this on and off, you're actually only going to ever hear it once, and that is when we switch for the 3rd time, and we're going to play this for the very first time. You're going to hear this, and then when this switches over to the gate, this turns off, and then you won't hear it again until it goes around a full cycle. So here's the final kind of project. I hope you've kind of semi-followed this, and I hope you realize actually, you know, how quickly you can build stuff up just by using some of these flip-flop counters and the storing forward, and how powerful these can actually be, and how creative and creative you can be with them. So thank you for watching, and I'm going to say bye for now, and let's see if I can get this semi going.